What's good, family? Smash the like button and subscribe. So Eddie Hearn has now confirmed what the YB told you, man, last week. Anthony, the cheek buster Joshua, and Robert McCrappen are in a strange situation right now, as Rob is the Olympic sports for boxing director. And obviously, the date they're now tasking is July 24th for the AJ fight, and the Olympics starts within the same week. So obviously, there's now a conflict of duties. Eddie Hearn said the following. Hearn isn't concerned about the clash, however he admits that AJ may be without his trainer Rob McCrappen, who also works as a coach of the GB Olympic boxing team. Hearn said, "We don't have a choice. There are too many people and things to fit around already with the fighters, trainers, countries and time zones and the Olympics. There is all this stuff around it, so whatever the date we are given by the site is the date that we will go with. The plan is to go ahead accordingly." I know AJ and Rob have been talking about this, so I am sure they will work it out. So it will depend on the timings. The date we get given is when the fight takes place, and the guys know it will be around the Olympics. It could be inappropriate, but it is the biggest fight in boxing and the biggest moment in AJ's career. So we have to work it out. As for what McCrappen will do, Hearn said, "I know Rob takes his position very seriously. He loves the job and the kids, so it's not ideal, but we can't move it a couple of weeks either side. Someone is spending a lot of money to have this fight, so whatever date they give us, we're taking." Hearn continued, "I know the Olympics is a huge event, but I see them very differently. I know a lot of people won't agree with me, but I personally see this bigger than the Olympics. I just feel it is bigger than the Olympics for Britain because the world will stop to watch, and it's between two Brits. It's impossible to schedule anything without clashing with something. It's impossible, so we will go on the date that we are given." There you go then. Your boy, the YB, made a video a few days ago, leaking to you, man, some exclusive information I'd received from my inside sources. Many man said, "Oh, YB, you're lying, you don't know what you're talking about." Next thing you know, a week later, a week after the YB gave you the confidential information, we got everyone else running with the story. What did I tell you? I told you, listen, I'm hearing from inside the camp, Rob McCrappen will not be the trainer because of the Olympics. He is the director of boxing. People don't understand. Olympics, you don't be the director of boxing and then miss it for nothing. If you have other obligations, as it's implied McCrappen might, i.e. AJ, you should have thought about that, and therefore you should have relinquished the position, if that makes sense. You're not the director of boxing for GB and miss the Olympics. Miss a 4-year cycle. Just not how it works. Sport don't work like that. AJ's a big fighter, but listen, there's levels to this as such. And being a director of a sport for the Olympics, that's all your job is. Do you know what I'm saying? Your job is to make sure your team performs well in the Olympics. You hit your targets. You can't do that if you're not there. Well, certainly it doesn't give, even if you think you can, it's not going to happen. That's the bottom line. And I think Rob has made his decision. He's made his choice. And I've always, you know my opinion, I don't think Rob's no good. But even that in itself, i.e. even him not dedicating himself fully to AJ, I find that sceptical. People tell me, well, YB, AJ's loyal, AJ's this, AJ's that. AJ has a finite amount of time. McCrappen has another 50 years or whatever, until he dies, more or less, isn't it? Think about it, really. Boxing trainers can go on for forever. Look at Costiamato, for example. Fighters can't. So I don't get all this loyalty. And like I was saying, really, how loyal has Rob been? Rob could have said, let's get something straight. Rob could have said, "AJ, I believe in you. That Olympic job is a good job, but I want to dedicate myself and my time to you fully. Because me and you are like that." That's what I'll be doing. Let me tell you now. If I was working with AJ, you best believe I've got that belief in him. Why? I don't need no one else. And it's not, the thing is as well, it's not even like, it's one thing, yeah, when AJ was younger, or whatever, and there wasn't much money involved. But even then, to be honest, AJ was an Olympic gold medalist from a home Olympics. He's been fighting for 100 grand plus per fight from the jump, if not more. So it was never a case of money. It was a case of Rob McCrappen likes to do what he likes to do. That said, he ain't committed. Because, like I just said, if it was me, I'd want all my time and energy and resources to go into AJ. Yeah? With AJ, in my opinion, we have one of the greatest athletes, one of the greatest bases in the sport's history. I owe it, as a trainer, as AJ's trainer, and a fan of the sport, I owe it to the sport, to the fans, to AJ, to give it all I can into him. Not, Olympics, GB. That's fine. That's the thing, people don't get it. It's fine to be, if that's what you want to do, it seems to me like Rob's more interested in trying to be all in the video, or I don't know what it is. Either way, he hasn't committed himself. And that's fine. It's fine to be, if you want to be loosey-goosey and then have GB on the side, that's good, but you don't do that with AJ. Carl Froch is acceptable. Carl Froch weren't doing nothing record-breaking. Carl Froch, if you want him, to be honest, even with Carl Froch, even with any fighter really, you should dedicate yourself to them. But the point is, with any fighter, it's not ideal. But with this particular fight, with a unified, undisputed, potentially has the potential to be the greatest ever. You certainly, if you can't do it for no one else, if you couldn't do it for Froch, you best be doing it for AJ, and he hasn't done that. So even if he was the best trainer, which he isn't, which is even more crazy when you think about it, McCrappen is empirically one of the worst trainers in history. And even still, he doesn't have any, he isn't the best trainer, and he don't even dedicate his time. It's like a double whammy. There's a saying that, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Well, Rob McCrappen ain't got no talent, and he's not working hard. I'm not disputing that he may, when I say working hard, he may well work hard, but either way, you can't split your time. No matter how hard you can work in 4 hours, you best believe you can get more done in 8. And it's not like AJ's making these big leaps where you can say, YB, listen, Rob's handling it. Rob's got it under control. Rob's proven to everyone that he can do both. He hasn't. And it's laughable that we're even sitting here today. AJ should have said to him, Rob, I really appreciate what you're doing for the youth. I really appreciate you want to be part of Team GB. But for these next 10 years of my career, I need someone who's for me. That's what I need. Give him the ultimatum. And if Rob wants to carry on with Team GB, so be it. But I find that weird as well. It's like, I don't know what it is. And it's not, I wouldn't mind you if McCrappen was some amazing trainer and he was adding so much value. I'll be thinking, yeah, I get it, why AJ's still with him. But he didn't commit to you. What's Rob really done? He couldn't even leave his job. He wants to have his finger in all the pies. He wants to be getting 100 grand a year off of there, man. He wants it all. Well, unfortunately, it don't work like that. Well, it does, actually, because AJ's allowed it, which I find questionable. I don't know, it's like some weird thing. I don't know what it is. But either way, the bottom line is, Eddie Hearn's now confirmed. The YB told you, man, a week ago. AJ and McCrappen, not going to work for this fight. This fight's now being penciled in for July 24th. That is bang on the Olympics. We know Rob McCrappen is the performance director for boxing. And like I just explained, you can't miss the Olympics. It's not one of them ones. Team GB, and I'm surprised, to be honest, Team GB have allowed it. I'm not even sure, is it even legal to have 2 jobs? I guess it is, of course you can, but I mean, I don't know, it seems a bit weird. It seems really, like in my mind at least, it's one thing working at McDonald's, yeah, and then having another job, cleaning at night. It's another thing when you've got potentially the greatest fighter ever, and then you're responsible also for Britain's amateur boxing. Like, who decided that he can do both? Each of them, I'm not even just talking about AJ now. For me as an AJ fan, I'm more bothered about him, but even so, I'm thinking about the youth. Do they deserve that? Is that all they deserve? Is all they deserve half of Rob McCrappen's time? I don't believe so. He needs to pick one, and to be honest, go with the amateur one. That's what you're good at. Rob's good at amateur boxing. Stay there. Yeah? Everything for a reason. There's a reason you're on the amateur director thing. Stay there. There's a reason you didn't want to commit to AJ. So you're right. Stay in the amateur thing. Let Shane take over. Shane McGuigan already working with Okoli. I think I don't know what it is. I don't know whether AJ's kind of digging in now. It feels to me almost like he's trying to prove a point now. Oh, I'm gonna make it right. I'm gonna prove McCrappen's good. That's what it feels like. It feels like he's trying to be stubborn or something. Oh, I'm gonna make it work. I'm gonna fight for this. Rob ain't been fighting. Rob been putting his fingers in all the pies. Rob has essentially been cheating, really. Although it was an open relationship, still. For all this loyalty AJ showed McCrappen, McCrappen has not showed the same. Because for me, how I feel about AJ, I don't even know the guy, but how I feel, yeah? I'd have come to him and said, listen AJ, I want you to know, I've got so much faith in you, and I got so much whatever else, I'm dropping. Even though I am the director of Team GB, I'm dropping that because I know you're the, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'll be thinking. Not Rob. Rob don't have that. And it shows, because when he went in there with Ruiz, the rematch, Rob was cacking his pants. Oh, we need to... Because that's the problem with Rob. All Rob's worried about is keeping all of his wheels spinning. Yeah? He ain't really bothered about getting the most out of any of them. He just wants them all spinning. I don't know what it's like. People are different. Some people are more content with just having a lot of averageness. That's what Rob likes. He likes to have a little drop here, a little drop there, but he don't want to dominate any. Do you know what I'm saying? It's one of them comfortable dons. There's some people, yeah, who will dedicate themselves to one little niche, and it may not work out. Or it may work out, and it may blossom into $1 billion, whatever. Some people like doing that. Other people, they'd rather sit back, not go all in, but have a few little bits. You know what I'm saying? Different people. McCrappen's one of them ones. He don't want to go all in. He likes to have... He don't want to rock the boat. Conservative. Yeah, I'll keep that job. Because it's in his mind, yeah, he's thinking, well, AJ's only got 10 years in his career, and this Team GB job is has a lot more security long term, and they've got a pension and that. Listen, that's his mindset. He's got this. It happens a lot with older people as well. In terms of the older generation, they're a lot more conservative and a lot more thinking about sustainability. But AJ's ain't worried about sustainability, or he shouldn't be. He should be worried about running this thing into the road and getting the most out of himself. McCrappen's worried about, let's just, you know what I'm saying? He wants the checks to keep coming. He wants a Team GB on the side, just in case things don't work out, and he wants to keep getting the AJ paydays, no matter what. McCrappen's main goal is getting paid. That's not how you get the best out of people, I'm afraid. If all you're worried about is survival, let's just get to the next payday. And even before this whole Team GB conflict came into it, I always had the feeling. I always got the feeling that's what Rob's targets was. His target was to keep AJ not losing, which isn't the same as wanting to go in there and dominate. For example, when you see Canelo perform, and even he, you know my opinion, I believe Canelo can be more ferocious. But still, Canelo's got the base there. He just needs to add a bit of ferociousness now. But even so, when you watch Canelo perform, do you get the feeling he's just doing enough to win? Do you get the feeling he's going through the motions? Or, no, sorry. Yeah, do you get the feeling he's just trying to, let me just win. Let me just survive. You don't see that. He comes out on the front foot, marches forward. He's in there with Callum Smith, someone bigger than him, taller than him, straight on the front foot, no messing about. Straight in there to get stuck in. You don't notice that with AJ's performances. And you can contrast it. AJ's had other trainers in the past. Conor Ben's trainer now. Tony Sims. Different mentalities. Yeah? Tony Sims, even O'Hara Davis. Tony Sims fighters, they're all similar, which makes sense. That's how it works. They come out and they go to work. McCrappen is the opposite. McCrappen's is just try and survive. And by having that attitude, again, look at Tyson Fury. We know what happens with the attitude. That attitude, it makes sense if you're really conservative and safety first kind of attitude or mentality or culture. It's safety first. In your mind, all you can see is that side of things. Well, if we don't throw any shots, that means won't get hit. But how it ends up working out in reality is you end up like Tyson Fury in the Wilder fight. You end up just being a nail. Tyson Fury in that Wilder fight was a nail, just waiting to get hammered. And fair play to Fury, because he was smart enough to clock on, this ain't going to work. And he moved on, and then had his best performance in his career. AJ, for some reason, he ain't clocking on. He ain't noticing that something ain't adding up here. There's something wrong when Fury is being ferocious and arm going the wrong way. They've changed positions, like Dylan White said. No one would have guessed that Fury would become the march forward fighter, and it doesn't make any sense. Fury shouldn't be. It should never be that conversation. Fury isn't explosive. AJ isn't. Well, he can do both, but that's why I say he's a super athlete. He can do both, but being able to do both doesn't mean it's the best possibility. AJ's best possibility is, yes, he can dance. If he ends up in trouble, dance, no problem. Otherwise, it should be full steam ahead with evasive, in the pocket, inside fighting skills, with throwback fighting skills on the inside, Josh Taylor style. That's what I'm thinking. There's no reason. And the fact we see a Coley who's nowhere near as explosive or nowhere near as meaty on the inside. AJ came up, he was hooking uppercuts. Yes, he had a jab, yes, he had a right hand, but mainly he was in there looking to get stuck in. And Coley's never been like that. So I just don't get it. The contrast now. Shane McGuigan. So yeah, I've been telling you, man, for a while, this one needs to happen. God's with the YB on this one. I'm afraid to break it to you, man. All you man who think McCrappen's good, unfortunately, God disagrees with you. Because that's why these things work out as they do. God's begging for AJ to turn his brain on and realise everything's not okay. Yeah? If it was, then the things would have worked out a different way. This fight would have been happening in June or May. If God had wanted it that way. He didn't want it that way. He wants AJ to pull his finger out and jump. Because I think also as well, even from AJ's point of view, he's got 100 million now. Or a billion, or whatever you want to say he's got. He's probably even thinking, you know what, let me just keep chugging. That attitude, that Rob McCrappen attitude has rubbed off on him. And he's now thinking, well, you know, yeah, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And let me just keep chugging along and keep winning. Because to be honest, and even some of you fans, in fact, most of you fans, most AJ fans tell me, YB, what are you talking about? McCrappen's the best. He's got 3 belts. As if 3 belts means that you're performing, you're optimal. When you're that good, AJ will win 4 belts. With any trainer. Does that make sense? With any trainer, AJ in this world today, in this division today, AJ's going to unify anyway. That's not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in how are you comparing to your FIFA score? Because at the moment, AJ's capability is 98 and his actual current is like 75. But AJ's 75, the rest of the division's 50. So that's how it ends up, that's how it looks good. But in reality, he's nowhere near his capability. And this now, perfect opportunity. Rob, we shouldn't even, and this is the thing, we shouldn't even be having this conversation where I've got a set, where we've got, is McCrappen not going to be there or not? Why are we having this conversation? Why hasn't Rob sacked off? You know, I just don't get that. If he cares so much about you, why hasn't he dedicated his life to yours? And it's not like he's some random person. He's meant to be your trainer anyway. That's what trainers are supposed to be doing. The training is supposed to be with you 24/7. Did you hear of Cus D'Amato having another gig somewhere and doing that half the time and missing Mike's fights? No, you didn't, because that's what his passion was. I don't believe that's another thing. I don't know whether McCrappen's really into this game. I believe he might be passionate for the amateur game, but I think Rob sees this more as a career rather than a passion. Some boxing trainers, they just have this thing. It's in their blood. I'm not sure that's McCrappen's case, because he surely ain't acting like it. Because if it was in your blood, yeah, when Cus D'Amato saw Mike, there was something. He was rock hard for Mike. That you have that. No, I bet if you'd have said to Cus D'Amato, yeah, Cus, do you want to head up the US Olympic team, or do you want to train Mike? He'd have looked at you, gone out, and said, "What? This is my Jack Johnson or whatever. This is the one. No way, I've got this diamond." He wouldn't trade it for anything. He wouldn't want to miss it for anything. And in fact, Customato said as much. He said, listen, I'm ill, I'm old, but I'm going to stay alive. Mike's what keeps me alive. Do you hear that? Let me tell you, man, for all you man out there who think Rob McCrappen's all good, yeah, listen to how Cuss speaks about Mike. Here's the reason I'm alive. That's what you... well, listen, end of the day, yeah, there's levels to everything. Can everyone be as passionate and as whatever as that? No. But even so, there's levels to it. And McCrappen ain't nowhere near that. If Customaito's right at the top, yeah, McCrappen's close to the bottom. He can't even... Never mind saying AJ's the reason I'm alive. AJ's the reason I'm still living like Cuss did. McCrappen can't even say AJ's the reason I've sacked my job off. He ain't even done that. He couldn't even do the bare bones. And it's not like, well, YB, AJ's only paying 10 grand. AJ's paying each fight Rob earns life-changing money. And even so, he don't believe in AJ, or he doesn't, for whatever reason, he ain't feeling it. He don't feel that power. I feel more passionate. I never even met the guy. I feel more passionate. I told you, man, I go in there for free and give what I know. McCrappen ain't even willing to give his job up to be the head trainer. A lot of trainers would die to have that job. McCrappen don't even want to... I don't know, man. But then again, like I said, we're at the point now where we have to start questioning AJ. Yeah? End of the day, bottom line. If he don't want to do it, we can't keep going on. We can't keep going on at McCrappen. AJ's a 30-year-old man, and if he wants to just pretend it's all, put his head in the sand, then so be it. But everyone else has done everything. It's all in line now. There's no excuse why you can't bring a proper trainer on. And all them Fernando Alonso, Don, and the other bum, get rid of them. What have they done? Where's their resume? What have they done? No one knows. Go and get McGuigan. We've seen McGuigan. It's proven. He's taken a Don who can't do nothing, a Coley, and turned him into a devastating Don. Simple as that. Anyway, and Eddie Hearn's basically arguing the part of saying, oh, well, I think the AJ fight's bigger than the Olympics. We shouldn't even be having this conversation. People have completely missed the point here. And AJ's team have let him down. Why no one in AJ's team told him years ago, like YB told him, there's something wrong here? Why is this man, McCrappen, think it's acceptable to have one of the best fighters in history and he can't even dedicate himself to you? That for me is a straight strike. If McCrappen was applying for a job, yeah, you go anywhere, you apply for any job and tell them, well, I'm not going to leave my other job and I'm going to be splitting my time 50-50. Good luck with that. Good luck with that, especially when your resume ain't saying nothing. McCrappen's got no resume, and he thinks he can just loosely turn up and do as he pleases and pick and choose. Nah, man, that don't work unless you allow it. AJ's allowing his man to cheat on him, essentially. Well, yeah, if you want to have two people on the go, then so be it. Currently, that's what's been going on. He can't even apply himself 100%, and even that 100% ain't enough because the scary thing is, Rob McCrappen's 100% is like poor, but he hasn't even give you that. It's unbelievable in a way, yeah. And people wonder why are you so hard on McCrappen? This is why. He doesn't even apply himself. It's one thing, yeah, if someone's giving it their all, and really, like Ben Davison, for example, I do believe he did really give it his all. He's limited, but he gave it his all. He did try. He genuinely wanted the best for Fury. You can't say the same for McCrappen, because if McCrappen wanted the best for AJ, he'd have sacked this job off years ago. Didn't do it. He refused to do it. But, again, just like the cheating man or woman, the person has to accept. AJ has accepted that. He's accepted Rob won't commit to him fully. So it is what it is at this point. All we can do is sit here and wait and see.